Hello and happy Friday. I hope you guys are all excited about the weekend coming. As you can tell, I'm feeling better. Really excited to come back to school on Monday. I miss you guys a lot. So today is our last lesson for the first part of Unit 4, and this is going to be called the area of similar figures. A lot of this learning is going to be something you've done before, maybe just a different framework for it. So make sure you have your classwork notebook as we're working on this in case you want to take any notes, and we'll get started. Make sure also you have the class slides downloaded. Our learning targets for today, the old ones are: I can identify the original shape and the copy. I can increase or decrease a shape. I can determine if shapes are similar. Those are all that we've done this past week. And then our new one for today is this last one. I can find the area and perimeter of similar shapes. Okay, so this is a problem that we did on Wednesday, I believe. It was the first one we did where we were going to use our idea of making an enlargement, and we were going to use a scale factor of 2. So we had our original shape, and before we began, we wrote the side lengths. I'm going to write them in black around the purple side because that is the original shape. So we had a square, and all sides of the square were 4 dots. So I'm just going to write that down. And then we made the copy, and we used a scale factor of 2. So our side lengths became 8 in our copy. So I'm just going to write that down. And you should have this in your classwork notebook. So what we want to do in this problem today is we want to find the area and the perimeter of the shape. So there's a couple of things. I didn't make a note for this, but maybe you can write it down. So the perimeter, P-E-R-M-I-T-E-R, I'm sure I spelled that wrong. You guys know I'm a terrible speller. The perimeter of a shape is the sum of all sides. You just add them all up, literally. So if we want to talk about the purple, I'll write it in black, and we want to find the perimeter of the OG, we're going to just do 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Now, if we want to write that as repeated addition and turn it into multiplication, it would be 4 times 4, 4 groups of 4. So the perimeter this time would be 16 units. And then if we want to talk about finding the perimeter of the copy, so the perimeter of the copy, again, would be 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, writing that as repeated addition, and then writing it as multiplication. It would be 4 groups of 8. 4 times 8 is going to be 32 units. So that's how you find perimeter. So you've done that before. You know how to do that. The next thing that we want to talk about is the idea of the area. The area is the space inside. It's inside. If it was the room that you're currently in, it would be that blue carpet that goes around, and the perimeter would be the white walls and the brick wall, I guess, too, included in my classroom space. So what we want to think about doing is we want to add up all the space in between. Now, what we want to think about doing is I'm going to use a much smaller, or I'm going to do this. If we go ahead and we do this and make little boxes, and we count up the boxes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 boxes inside. So the area of the original is equal to 16 units. It's the same, and it's unit squared. Area is squared. And then if we want to do the same over here to the copy, not straight lines for Mrs. Brua. I'm writing quickly. I do apologize. We want to just keep going. Very not straight lines. Just gonna draw all the drawings. Here we go, drawing the drawings. If you were to add all of those up and we did the area of the copy, and you were to add all those up, you would get 64 units squared. How did I know that? You might be wondering, am I just a math wizard? Well, of course, yes is the answer to that. No, not really. Another little note that you could write down is that area in a square shape like this is equal to the length times the width. So in our copy, it would be 8 times 8, which is 64. You can't always do that if you don't have a perfect square or a rectangle, but in this case we could. All right, let's move on. So this was our second problem that we did. And again, when I drew it, I had to kind of draw over the original problem. So let's go ahead and find first the perimeter of the original. So the perimeter of the OG. And then we'll find the area of the OG. We'll do both of those. So we want to add up all the side lengths. So we know that this is a 3 and a 3 and a 3 and a 3. And then these were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These were 6 and 6. So we're going to have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 6 plus 6. And one thing I want you to always be thinking about is this idea of writing things in a simplified form. So if we simplify this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3 plus 2 groups of 6. I have 12 plus 12. The perimeter of the OG is 24 units. Does that make sense? I hope so. Now, if we go ahead and we find the area of the OG, here's where I want you to think about this idea of grouping things and using this formula based that you have. If you were to go ahead and you were to separate the two, maybe if we drew a line like that, and now we have a rectangle and we have a square. We know that the lengths of the square right here are a 3 by 3, and that would be, so the first thing we would do is have 3 times 3 for the yellow, and that would equal 9. So that's 9 right here. And then for this one, we also have a 6 by 3. So we're going to have a 6 times 3, and that's going to give us 18. If we add those two together, we get 9 plus 18, which is 27 units squared. So that's how you would go ahead and do that. You could also make the lines like I did before and count up the boxes. It would be up to you to decide to do whichever one you wanted. So moving on to the copy now. Let me just draw some lines in here. Find some space. Okay, so for our copy, if you remember, we used a scale factor of 3. So we went from 3 to 9 all the way around in these, and then 18. So what we're going to do to find the perimeter of our copy, I'm just going to do it the extended way, and then I'll do it the simplified way. So we have 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 18 plus 18. Oh, I'm exhausted just writing it. We have 4 groups of 9 plus 2 groups of 18. 4 groups of 9 is 36, and 2 groups of 18 is also 36. We have 36 plus 36. We have 72 units for the perimeter of our copy. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to make 2 separate spaces in here, rectangle and a square. Let's start with this one. So we're going to have a 9 by a 9. So for the area of the copy, we have a 9 times 9, which is 81. So we'll write an 81 in there. And then for this one, we have an 18 times a 9, big numbers. Then we have 18 times 9, and that is 162. So then we're going to add those two numbers together, 162 plus 81, and that's going to give us 3, 8 and 6 is 4, 243 units squared. Ugh, lots of numbers. Okay, so that was a very quick lesson, but I do believe that it's information you came to me with. If not, we can obviously go through it again on Monday. What I would like you to do now is to download from Canvas the lock and key problem and the robot problem. They're in today's module. They should be right underneath this video link. I want you to complete both. I want you to check them. The answer key is on the homepage in Canvas, and submit them to Canvas. And don't forget to make sure that your R&P is checked and submitted also. So you would have three things that you're submitting today if you didn't already submit your R&P. You'd have your R&P, you'd have the robot problem, and the key and lock problem. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.